Hello, young ladies and young men. I'm glad you're here. Pastor just, the moment we got started, decided he'd step out. But I'm glad you're here. And let me move some of our stuff because I know you guys got some good comments tonight. Here he comes.
This girl trying to tell me she going live. I've been live from day one.
Oh my God.
That's the truth.
Okay. All right.
How you doing?
Joe is the early bird tonight. Joe was hungry.
Try this thing, Brother Joe. Pull them lifters and the camshafts in there and mash the gas, man.
And Pat, hey Pat, your second runner-up. And Deb, here you come. And I'm glad you're here. Sandra, glad you're here, sweetheart. Morgan, I'm glad you're in here with us tonight. And Dee Dee and George.
Dion, tell your mom I said hello. Vernie Lee.
And Apostle Norman.
Norman J.
Yeah, I watched part of your service on Sunday.
Boy, I'm gonna tell you, you're stinking. You stink real good now.
Hey, the Kesslers. I hope Esther's doing better. I hope she's doing better.
He said, we are here.
We are here.
That means somebody
good.
else there.
She's there with you. Thank you.
Thank you, glory.
We thank God for sustaining and keeping her.
Marsha May.
For her getting better and better. We choose to see her healed and well. Hello, Marsha.
Miss Linda.
And Marie and Linda.
Linda.
She said another mystical Thursday.
Ooh, sounds like we know something. Spooky.
That's the mood. That's the mode he's in tonight, y'all. I apologize. Hey, sissy and brother-in-law.
There's two more stinking people.
I hope you had a good day at work.
Look at that, my sister-in-law.
Everybody's doing all right. Would you stop? Oh, my Lord. We're going to have to deal with that tonight.
Yeah. It's going to be a mess. It's a mess. Yes.
All right. I'm going to read. You didn't bring your bell, so I'm going to read something. Can I read something? Mm-hmm. No? Mm-hmm. All right. What do you want to do?
Go ahead and read. I'll let you read.
I have your permission.
You got it.
Okay.
Right down the middle of the road.
Mm-hmm. All right, you guys. This is out of that book again, The Naked Now, by Dr. Richard Rohr. Naked Now. Okay. It's in the very back of the book, and he's got a section where he talks about joy and the mind. What might a joyful mind be like? I thought that would be real good to just kind of bring that to you guys tonight. It says here, a joyful mind might be when your mind does not need to be right. Or when you no longer need to compare yourself with others. When you no longer need to compete, not even in your own head. When your mind can be creative, but without needing anyone to know. Sounds to me like this is talking about the mind free of egotism. It's just the mind doing what it does without the self-centeredness or being self-absorbed.
Okay. I look at the mind in this case that she's speaking of. I look at it like, what if there's somebody out there that cannot overcome these impasses that the mind spontaneously project and bring up?
Yes.
Now I'm gonna speak to you like
Amo. That's that new word.
Amo. Like everybody else is on the low totem pole of trying to get rid of some of the things the mind is brought up out of habit, conditioning, and things like that. Let's just say you can't reach this point in your mind to shut it down and stop from doing things.
Because usually when we try, it's the mind trying to shut itself down, and it can't.
And that's the subtlety of the mind and the ego working together, giving off the ideal that Satan is behind it. And a lot of times it ain't him behind it. It ain't it, whatever your psychological enemy is.
Well, sometimes we get so caught up trying to stop the ego that we don't realize it's the ego trying to do that so it will feel like it's more spiritual.
So now here's the backup plan. The backup plan is awareness,
Mm-hmm.
get the smell of the scent of the trail of the rabbit in your nose, and watch your dog hunt. Metaphorically saying, go all the way into as far as you can go in finding out who you are as the pure self. Now you might say, wouldn't that be the self, the false self, researching? And at this point, you haven't come to the end of the seeking and the searching, so use it to the eternal life advantage.
Yes. Now, when he mentions these things in this book, we need to understand that he's not saying this is how we ought to be.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He's not saying that this is how we ought to be. He's saying this is what the mind ends up being when you've disengaged from it. And it doesn't any longer have the forefront. And so he says, when you can live in contentment with whatever the moment offers, when you don't need to analyze or judge things in or out, positive or negative, when your mind doesn't need to be in charge, but can serve the moment with gracious and affirming information. And that's what the purpose of the mind is to serve that purest essence that we are. It's really not supposed to be in the forefront. And he also mentions in this book, which I thought was really, really good, the difference between thinking prayer versus contemplative prayer.
Yeah.
Most of us in the West, particularly in the West, we're used to thinking prayers that issue or come forth from the mind, and don't really understand or are not familiar with contemplative prayer, which is without words.
That's the communication of the heart to heart, the breath of conversational prayer. We're doing prayer now on online right now in these classes, and you guys are watching and listening and responding. That's a form of a conglomerate of a package deal of God talking to himself through himself.
Yeah.
Contemplating
These are
contemplative
sessions
that we're having.
Yeah.
And somebody say, well, your prayer don't go no higher than the ceiling. They don't need to.
They don't need to go that high.
Don't need to go nowhere.
So the be still and know is a contemplative prayer.
You are the actual beauty. You are the actual beauty of God himself in a part of you or all of you, depending on how your rabbit trail is and how you're ready to enter into all of the benefits of many lifetimes evolutions to get to the point where you are now.
Yes. And he says here, when your mind follows the intelligent lead of your heart. Yeah. When your mind is curious and interested, not suspicious and interrogating.
Oh, okay.
This is a mind that's been put in its rightful place, or I won't say put. It has found its rightful place. I know Byron Katie had a book called "A Mind at Home with Itself." So it and her writings are always about her teachings, and her messages is always about bringing yourself to the place of not allowing the mind to be believed.
Yeah.
And to question the mind, question the thoughts. And it puts the mind in its rightful place when you do that.
You as the eternal or the eternals, going after the essence of your eternalness, will show up everything that God is in the earth, in heaven, and will show you what real forgiveness is from the standpoint of your essence self that does not procrastinate in the area of did I forgive, or because I remember what they did or what eventually took place. Is that true forgiveness? In true essence, all of these things will come up as storms and speed bumps, but by you understanding who you are in essence, that does not get on your little bitty nerve.
Right.
Okay? And if it does, it doesn't make anything out of it. But forgiveness is that we do see that this forgiveness is coming from a part of us that never hold any charges against anything.
Yes. Yes.
God,
Now,
boy, I
I'm
tell you,
glad you brought that up.
Lord.
He had a portion in here where he talks about Luke 2:77 of the Bible. He says, we have to overcome the rational domination of the ego and reason to forgive a deep hurt or memory. As Zechariah says in his beautiful passage, you will know salvation through the mystery of forgiveness.
The mystery of forgiveness.
Of forgiveness. Yes.
The law of essence in that area of who we are, we do not have to ask God to show us anything, because in essence, everything is already showing itself in the bloodline of divinity, infinity, eternity, absoluteness, I amness. We are, I am, everything, everywhere, present.
And I'm gonna summarize that.
Oh God.
Because that was a long, but it was a very, very profound truth you just said. Because when the mind has been stepped to the side, I'll say it like that, when it steps aside and allows the heart to lead, all truth is then apparent. Everything is known. Hello, Ollie. Ollie was here. He popped in and visited us yesterday. It was so good to see him too. Yeah, but so that of the mind being, when we disengage from the mind and don't believe all the thoughts that come through, giving it a subservient role, then all truth is known.
In essence, this dimension, though it be a dream, in essence has rated this program that we are in here on this earth as one of the top rated programs for anybody to come into to find out the truth of their true identity. Essence rates this world high above all, because in this world, essence is already on the ball, and it is, I am, you are in the right place. None of us, we didn't miss God by coming to this story.
No.
This story is what essence rated as A grade Shianical. I don't know what the Shianical is, but it's
that's from my stepfather. My stepfather, who I have to say, now I'm not trying to be critical, but he was just illiterate, so he had all these sayings. So he said, "A grade Shianica." I don't know.
Yeah, it's A grade. I just brought it in. I don't know what it means.
But listen.
Okay.
So our minds, the mind itself, is having to adjust to a dimension of unknown.
I heard it say, top rated on the map, on the what they top rated for music. It's a name for it. Top rated, and it is already approved and moved in your essence that everything that you've been asking for in the mind, essence automatically will adjust it. Don't worry about how it comes, where it's going to happen. My God, I feel the oh Lord have mercy. The steak gravy is bubbling now.
but let me go back and say this again, because you kind of out there. You kind of out there. Right? But anyway,
this stuff is something.
Our very minds, even though we consider, a lot of times we consider the mind to be an enemy, but it's not. It's just a servant that thinks it's the leader. And so in the process of the undoing of the ego, the mind has to adjust to a dimension of unknowing, because we live in the I know mind. So when it has to adjust to a dimension of unknowing.
Essence knew out of the beingness of itself that when we reached for this place.
Mhm.
Millions of light beings want to be manifested in form here.
Yeah.
But because essence, let me tell you something now, you're locked in.
Yeah.
I told a young man, he said, well, I went to church and I gave my life to the Lord, and I didn't kind of like he wanted to say I went back and I said,
He
this
said, he said, I
idea,
haven't been living right.
I said, do you think Jesus or Christ or your essence self is looking at your ego matching and marking itself and grading itself as whether it is in or out of God? No.
Well, if you go back to Genesis, and I'm sure those of you who are Bible scholars, you know this, but if you go back to
Glory
Genesis,
be
there
to
were the
God.
two trees in the
Lord have
garden,
mercy.
the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and then there was a tree of life. They were not supposed to touch the tree of knowledge of good and evil, because that's the tree of opposites. That's the tree of right and wrong.
Mhm.
So we're supposed to be living from the tree of life, meaning from the heart, intuitively, not basing our whole life on whether this is right and this is wrong. So that's where a lot of doctrines have come from, dogmas have come from, all of those different types of rules and regulations from different religions have come from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And so we are not living in that dimension.
We're the life of that dimension.
Yes, we are the life of that dimension.
Here's what I got here. The law of essence is not we can, we will, we don't, maybe, wait, hold on, help come, I'm looking for it, I'm seeking for it. In true essence, you are the got of God, not the gettings. You're not the gettings. In true essence, you are the got, G-O-T. You got it. All right?
Or the have.
The have or the I am already
The
stuff.
already have.
I am already thatness.
I'm already have or already am. Yeah.
Yeah, you can have, but that's all right.
Already am, already have.
Like I saw a lady going in, what's that store we went to up there at the mall, that circle up there where you went to get things for baby.
Hobby Lobby.
Hobby Lobby. I know what today. I saw a lady.
Today?
Yeah, I'm sitting in the
Target.
Yeah, Target. I was sitting in the Jeep waiting. This lady come across in front of me. Her stomach was way out in front of her.
Translation, she was pregnant.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna get to that part too. And I said, "Oh, that is a life. The life of herself is expanded itself inside of her body, and it is coming out of her. And before she know it, they don't think like this. That she is inside of her stomach is going to turn around in all readiness and look at her. But because the mind has been blinded by its senses of this story, see, when you guys listen, you are awake, already awake, awakening.
And still awakening.
And still awakening. That
it's like
that don't never stop.
It don't
never stop.
It's not a once and for all awakening. It's a continuous waking up.
You are hey y'all, boys and girls, look. Might as well go ahead on and take. I always say it like this: drink your liquor straight. Don't need no chaser. Just take it straight out the bottle. And you are. Before you came into this dimension, listen to this. God nourished you and nursed you by his presence in the heavenlies, in the universities of eternities, IMTs, and all of them T's. He nourished you and replenished you with ample supply of the essence identity, so that when you got here, he knew, you knew in your infinite self that there are going to be many distractions to try to pull you away because of feeling, seeing, thinking, and this energy around us. But God in your divine self put a charge on your battery that will never run out.
Like the ever ready.
You know. See,
Like an
you
ever-ready
gonna
bug.
start something now. You gonna start something.
All right. Yeah,
Okay, go
yeah.
ahead.
So here again, when the mind is at home with itself, it says when your mind does not brood over injuries.
I heard something in there. When the mind don't say boo over injuries. Go ahead. I got you. We're there. We're there.
When when the mind no longer needs to humiliate,
Mm-mm.
critique,
All right.
or defeat those who
Mhm.
have hurt it. Not even in it, not even in your mind.
It's like you said. Do you think I need to go get her straightened out?
Mm.
My mama used to say it, being real rough and saying it. My mom would say, "I'll go over there and kick her. What you call it?" I said, "Mama."
And give them a piece of my mind.
Yeah, give a piece of my mind. I said, "Mama, she's across the street and you here, you almost 100 years old." I said, "You can't get your leg up and kick somebody like that." I said, "You get it stuck up in the air and you fall backwards."
Okay.
That's what you tell my mom.
Okay.
And then by then we laugh and cut her.
Yeah.
I get her mind off of it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, okay, when the mind does not need the future to be better than today.
I like that.
Yeah.
Say that again.
When your mind does not need the future to be better than today.
You, Miss, I'm gonna give you some sugar.
I didn't write it.
I don't care. You saying it.
I'm just reading it.
You saying it. Go ahead.
When your mind can let go of obsessive or negative thoughts. Oh my gosh, Almighty Lord have mercy. That right there is where most people get stuck, because the trying to let go of the negative thoughts it seems futile.
Personhood is what gets stuck.
Yes.
Essence
is never stuck.
don't.
Because essence doesn't believe the thoughts, or doesn't allow the thoughts to be the center of its focus.
Translated into essence, here is exactly what essence does in all the noise that we see. I'm going to show you what it does. Here's what essence is and does. It is the doings and doesness of God. It is. Essence say.
It say.
That's what it said.
It says.
Essence say.
It say. What is it saying?
It says.
What is it saying?
It says something. Listen to Essence talking so loud. It's in loud. One of the things I remember in Jesus talking to me face to face, in person, in identity, his divineness was speaking to divineness in this body, standing there looking at him, and he never moved his lips when he talked to me. It was a knowing, a grace that gives your lip a vacation. Anybody that done lived in this world any length of time got a juicy mouth. And you done said everything from Rudy to Tutor cussing and everything all this time. And when you get into your spirit essence and get out of this talking machine mind, well, my God, you need a vacation. You need a break from this chatter. Oh, Lord, don't you need a break? I want one now. That's why this thing flapping like it is. I'm going for my break. You better believe I'm finding my break. I ain't gonna let my chin flap all the way through this thing, because I find stillness. Okay. Speaks louder than words.
So what Father Rohr is saying in this book is that there is salvation for the mind. There's salvation for the mind. There is salvation for the mind, where it can become peaceful. Mm-hmm. It can become calm. Mm-hmm. And that's when it's at home with itself, like Byron Katie says, a mind at home with itself, not trying to micromanage everything. So he says here as well, when your mind can let go of obsessive and negative thoughts, when your mind can think well of itself, but without needing to. Mm-hmm. Okay. When your mind can accept yourself or itself as you are, warts and all. Mm. When your mind can surrender to what is, when your mind does not divide and always condemn one side or group. So all of these things are things the mind, when I say we, I'm talking about the mind. When we identify ourselves as the mind, we try to do this.
The mind
when
tries.
we identify with the mind, we try to do this. But what he's saying is this is what the mind is when we're not identified with the mind.
Now, I'm so glad and rejoicing that God is, in essence, he's everybody in the universe.
Yeah.
That was what they showed me, in essence, how to see things. And the minute you start understanding essence and seeing essence, watch this. That is the divine operation of forgiveness.
Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to toot your horn. I'm not going to toot mine.
Toot it.
But I'm going to toot your horn. The young man that came by on the day before to give us a quote for doing some painting that we need here in the house. He came in, and I'm not going to mention his name because he might be watching or whatever. But he came in, and you began to speak to him about what you saw and what you were intuitively picking up. And you were actually connected with his grandfather who had crossed over into his next life. And his non-earth life, that is, non-physical life. And so you saw so many details about his grandfather till it went deep into this young man. And he said to me today, you weren't even in the room, but he said this. He said, I bet you told everybody you saw about what happened to you yesterday. He said, I did. I said, well, how did they receive it? He said, some of them don't believe it because they don't think that stuff is real. He said, but I saw it for myself. He said, there's no way he could have known any of that stuff. He didn't know me. He didn't know my grandfather, and he knew things that nobody else knew, that only I knew. So he was, and then he later on, when we were sitting there talking to him, and he asked the question. He said, so is God real?
He did.
And I simply said to him, I said, well, let me ask you this. Based on what you just heard and what you heard coming from him, I said, what do you think? He said, yeah, he's real. So you didn't preach to him?
No, I didn't.
We didn't try to change him.
I quit preaching. You
simply went to his heart.
That's where you go.
And his grandfather came forward.
He did.
So that you could get to his heart.
Yes.
Yeah. And ever since then, we almost had to bar the door because he pops in and won't leave.
I'm gonna act like I ain't here.
He won't leave.
But I want to tell you guys something.
So there's ways to get to people's hearts without preaching to them.
Then he asked the question about denominations and you Baptists, and they say he's been Baptist and
all of his
all that
family
kind of
was
stuff.
Baptist.
I said, let me clear this. Let me talk to you.
He's got so many questions.
Does not rate you as being in his will or out of his will for the sake of denominationalism and brick and mortar.
Yes.
Glory be to God. I'm about to cut one there.
Well, that brings
Lord
me to,
have
you
mercy.
got the pop.
I done blowed up.
Well, that brings me to this next thing that it says. It says, when you know that you are not identifying with the mind, and the mind finds its own home. It goes home to its place of being a servant to you rather than micromanaging your life. He said, when your mind does not divide and always condemn one side or group. Why are you laughing?
Something I told a girl at UPS place today, and we both broke out laughing about the sciatic nerve thing I've been dealing with. She told me that she carried a baby that was heavy and irritated her sciatic nerve. And I told her, I said, this sciatic nerve is something, girl. She said, well, have you ever thought about having your feet looked at? Because some of the pain, and I mentioned it to the chiropractor, could come from your your feet,
yeah,
arches in your feet.
yeah.
And I told the doctor. Now this is gonna be crazy when I say this.
Oh my
I said,
God.
I told the doctor. I said, with this sciatic nerve, every time I pass gas, I said the pain shoot down my right leg, and it jumps over to the left leg and go back up through my.
And they don't believe anything you're saying.
And go back up through my left leg, and it comes out the top, kaboom.
Hey,
I
I wouldn't have said that.
I don't care.
I wouldn't have said that. If I was
Girl,
you.
I'm free. I'm happy.
Okay.
That's
Now,
the way it
let me
is.
read the
The
next
boy,
one.
she fell out of there. We both laughed.
I'm sure. I'm sure she did.
But I said, kaboom. She did. She said, woo.
Okay, we got it.
Yeah, you didn't
We
get that.
got
You serious. You too serious. I can see that.
Yeah, somebody got to be the straight person
No.
around here. But anyway, he says here, when your mind can find truth on both sides, that's when you're not identified as your thoughts. The mind can find truth on both sides. When your mind fills in the gaps with the benefit of the doubt for your friends and your enemies.
Oh, Lordy.
When your mind can critique and also detach from the critique. When your mind can wait, listen, and learn. Now, this is the thing I've noticed about our little puppy dog who's over here on the corner, and she is doing exactly what that just said. She's waiting, listening, and that's all she's doing, waiting and listening. And that's the way the mind is supposed to be, waiting and listening for when you need it. And when you need it, it's there.
You know what? When we come on, I sense the arms of essence holding everyone that's listening to us now. And I sense the contemplated prayer of conversational fellowship right now is holding the essence of the Christ identity.
Yeah.
When I want to talk to my friend on the floor, that four-legged creature, my dog, baby girl, sometimes I take her by her fur under her chin and I look at her eyes. And I tell her face to face. I put my face right in her face. I even put my eye next to her and I say to her essence, you are the life that I gave, and I am the life that you are inside of your dog suit. And I said, you're ugly. You got ears with fur all over it. Your nose stay wet and cold. You're a four-legged creature. I said, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. She does not to the least bit get offended.
Because she doesn't have a
She doesn't
mind
have that.
to grab that and process it as a story.
But I do know that the mystical side of essence in her is looking out her eyes.
Now,
the essence
now
in
this
us.
is a biggie. This one that I'm getting ready to
Okay.
read, because I think this is the place where I think where I heard in the last Pure Presence conference that Bill and Lisa did had
Lord,
set up
mercy,
for all of
Jesus.
us. Rupert Spira said this, that in order for something to really be resolved, you have to be able to live with it honestly.
Wow.
So listen to this.
Wow.
When your mind can live satisfied without resolution or closure. I'll say it again. When your mind can live satisfied without resolution or closure. You know you're disidentified. You have not identified yourself as the mind. When the mind is completely at home with itself and in that subservient place and position that it belongs to, you don't have to have resolution or closure. You don't have to set it right. You don't have to go back and try to clear your name.
Wow. In essence, you don't have to do any of that.
It's not interested.
Wow. In essence, I understand now when Peter in the book of Acts was in prison, it said an angel of the Lord appeared. And I can see essence. It said the key, the doors come open.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. My God, this thing is rich. Your true self has broken every lock on every door in your life,
Yes,
or
sir.
this life.
Yes.
There is no such thing as no in God, but all yeses.
Mhm.
I've heard the universe say yes
Mhm.
to us.
Yes.
God is not holding anything away from his son,
Never does.
and his son
Never does.
is,
That's right.
and daughter is every last one of you out there.
Mhm.
Whether you approve of him or not, you are. He is.
So if you go back to the story of Joseph in the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
he was mistreated by his own brothers.
Sure was.
And all of that, thrown in prison, and the man who was going to get him out forgot about him for years. Didn't even get him out. He didn't come out trying to get closure or resolution. He entered into the allowing, or what I call the let there be's.
The let there be, yeah.
Let
That's
there
essence.
be. Let it be. And then you'll see God raise you up. It raises itself up. And Jesus said, if I be lifted up, I will draw all men unto me. So what we've done is we've not allowed the essence to be lifted up, because we've been letting the mind try to search out resolution and closure.
Let me tell y'all something that happened to me when I went from the 6th to the 7th grade in school. I would always get my book fee money, but I never know when.
Yeah, I went through that too.
But my book fee money had not shown up in a class where it was supposed to be paid so I could have my books in reading improvement. I don't know. I asked her the other night, I said, have you ever had a teacher in school to pay your book fee? She said, no, but I have. I had a teacher to pay my book fee, and when I got home, I didn't say anything more about it, and they wondered, how did I get my books?
Mm-hmm.
Essence has always been with you guys out there. I want you to hear this. Please hear this with your heart. Let your heart speak to your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Let your heart tell your mind. I'm going to say this bluntly. Let your heart tell your mind to stay the hell out of your business. I want you to do that. I want you to understand that what God is as essence in you is the A grade material substance that guarantee you the combination of numbers and events that will override every dispensational event that has ever happened in your life and many evolutions. Yeah. What you are, God, man. Woo! I feel this thing on in my bones, on down in my bones. What you are at your core can never sin or disagree with anything that God said now for the future and for eternity. You and God and your God identity is right there together. Always will be. Yeah. Know this and walk your walk. Strut with your head up. Deal with the times and the moments that you don't feel them and you don't feel like you're worthy of something. Yes. Don't let that throw you in the side ditch.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because the very next thing, one is a joyful mind is a mind that can stop judging and critiquing itself.
There you go. There you go. If it does judge and critique, you look at it and smile at it.
And when you say you look at it, you're saying the you that is that real you, that pure essence, God's self that you are, looks at the mind judging and critiquing itself. But when we identify with the mind, we think we're doing it. We are doing it to ourselves.
Jesus' body was removed from the tomb. Mary walked up to it, and she saw an angel sitting in a place in the tomb. She said, "Where is he?" Here's the mystical side of her question. She didn't know it, but the essence that was in the tomb and the essence that was seated in the angel was the true essence in her body mind that asked the question, where have they taken his body? Where have they laid it? And the angel said, he is not here. He is resurrected. That resurrection is the essence self that we're speaking of now. You are now raised high above principalities, powers of darkness, of these imaginary psychological identities of your family, your past. God, as your essence, picked you to be here today, to hear what we have to say, and for us to hear what you're typing on the screen. This is a monumental day, an event that was designed by you to hear the truth and remind you of how free you've always been. And you'll never be the same after this broadcast.
We don't realize that we're the master. We keep giving up our mastership, but when Jesus was in the wilderness, going through what I call the identification
process,
I had a word for it. When he was going through the proving of his identification, proving of his identification, he had all kinds of things coming to him. Now the scriptures, because of his religious language, says the devil came to him. But we know it was just that thinking mind. That thinking mind is the devil in most of our heads. So that thinking mind said to him a whole lot of things. If you be this, if you be that, then do this, then do that. So it was challenging his identity, his pure identity. And he had to go through that proving of who he really is. And until he proved that to his mind, he was not the master. But it said he proved to his mind that he knew who he was. He did not identify with the thoughts that it brought to him. And he came out, it said he came out in power.
God Almighty. How you talking there? I said this. Essence of your pure self is the honey comb of the honey. Essence clears all records of any area of the past, if there is one. Essence is like you riding on a train and you're looking out of the window. Everything that you see is passing you at the present moment, and at the present moment, you're moving into the future, and if you move into the future becoming the past. But you're always in the present moment, riding on the train. In the now. Essence is the clue that clears all database, all fault and blame, all discrepancies. Essence is what's going to reveal the supernatural power of supply to some of you out there this Thanksgiving and this Christmas. Your Santa Claus is essence inside of you and inside of everybody you meet. Everybody that's listening to me, I decree the miracle power of essence revealing to you the gift that God has always been in you. You're going to have one of the most amazing blessing times in this Christmas and this Thanksgiving, because you know something today that's going to set this thing free of your guilt, your worry, and the fear, and the supply of God is coming in there, manifesting itself in a different way than you've ever had it in your entire Christ of life.
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 Yes.
Hallelujah.
Got a pulpit, I think.
Oh Lord, I'm
Pulpit.
my soul. Oh, glory be to God. I'm telling you this stuff. I'm stirred up in here because I see something inside of all of us that we've always wanted to say. You know, today I said, I want to say something to somebody that will revolutionize their life. I want to say something to them like I did that young man in the kitchen. I want to say something to you, oh God, that will absolutely pull your attention over into seeing.
Yes, yes. I want to, can I address something
go ahead,
here?
Go ahead.
Apostle Norma says that, speaking of Jesus in the wilderness, he did not have to prove who he was and is. He didn't have to prove it to anyone, but he did have to prove it to his mind.
Yes, Lord.
He had to prove it to his mind. So when the thoughts come up, that the self-doubt thoughts come, he had to convince the mind that he was who he is. And then the mind became his servant. It is no longer your enemy. It becomes your servant.
I am grateful to the gracefulness of God. Ooh-wee. You know, I could just quit right here and just leave.
Well, hold it for a second. One of I'm gonna read these last two, I think, maybe just this one. Said the mind is at home with itself when you can observe your mind, or you are at home with yourself when you can observe your mind contracting into self-preservation or self-validation, and then laugh or weep over it. When you can look at it doing crazy things. You can look at it doing the rope-a-dope and laugh or cry.
I talked to a lady today in the chiropractor's facility and office today, and she spoke to me. I said she had a mask, and a lot of people I don't recognize by mask. So what I do, I switch over to presence, and I look at I recognize who's looking at me through the eyes. But I told her in the place, I said, you the lady that, were you in here the other day? And she said, yeah. She said, you the one that told the lady sitting beside me that she was a teacher. I said, yeah. I told her as she left going out the door, I said, some of these things that I'm telling you that I saw on the other side in this event that took place, I said, she talked about the Holy Spirit. I said, there's some people in this area of church would not receive what I'm telling you. But I said, I'm telling you what I saw and what I've experienced. I said, there's one side that the book and paper and ink that people use as the law. But I said, I'm not talking to you from ink and paper and a book. I said, I'm talking to you from the heart of God, the essence. And I looked at it. You see, here it is.
Well, you know, when you were talking to the young man who came to see us, that I was telling him about, that you had talked with, he was so full of guilt. He had so much guilt from not having lived what he thought he needed to live, and all of the mistakes. He said, I made a lot of mistakes.
He did.
He was so burdened with guilt.
Yes.
And condemning himself. So it was like he was being free. And he said to you, I don't know if he said it to you or said it about you. He said, I just feel his presence around you.
Oh, that's what he said.
He just felt that presence around. He said, I don't know what it is. I just feel that presence around you. So it doesn't require a lot of words for people to get to their heart. When God gets to that heart,
well, he's there. He's there.
Well, I mean, when it opens, fully, when it opens, because of
we try our best to say these things in a pertinent way. The historic truth is fine, but we deal with pertinent.
Yeah. I wanted to say what Linda's put up. She said, we have all had a thought that was so shocking to ourselves that we ask ourselves, where did that thought come from? Who's asking the question?
Ooh, girl, I'm telling you, you hit the jackpot there. I want y'all to know. I know you know this, but I want to say it to you because we are happy for you guys. We don't have to be, but I want you to know we are filled with joy for you guys. You are coming into our class, and you will let us come into your home and your computer and talk to you. And this is more than its weight in gold. I am so glad that we talked and discussed these things event wise in the eternals before we got to the culmination of this moment on this computer. I reach my heart out to every one of you by the power and might of the presence of essence of God. I call forth divine memory, recall
Yes.
of the places and the experiences that you've had in many lifetimes. And I call that caliper in you to gather up all the things that you experienced that brought you to this point of seeing the Christ as your true identity. It has nothing to do with church. It has nothing to do with anything I'm saying. It has nothing to do with anybody. It's just the way it is. That's a song that just the way it is. You are the Spirit of God. 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 I could say it a million times. You are, right now, you are the Spirit of
Type
God.
it in. I am the Spirit of
You
God.
are the Spirit of God. You don't have to tell anybody. You have to broadcast it. This is your personal, private Garden of Gethsemane.
And it's your personal mantra.
Yes. You are, I am the Spirit of the living God.
Now, I need to tell him something.
Tell him.
Because everybody might not know it.
Yeah, tell him.
But in just a few days, you're going to be a year older. He's going to be 74, you guys, on November the 22nd. And we're going to be doing.
Guess what? We had a neighbor to come around and talk to me about sewing. I'm going on 74, and she says, I'm 84. Ain't that hot dog?
She came because she thought he was able to sew her some clothes.
Yes, look what you said.
So
I am the Spirit of God.
I am the Spirit
of God. I am the Spirit of God. And you know what? You can top it off like this. And I said it. I finally found out who the Holy Ghost is. I am the Holy Ghost of God. I know who the Holy Ghost is. I know who the Spirit of God is.
I am the Holy Ghost of God.
I am the Ghost of God manifested in form.
Yeah. So now I got to finish about your birthday.
Yeah, go ahead, birthday.
Your birthday on the 22nd. And I think we're going to be doing, I know we're going to be doing a Zoom on the 22nd. That's on a Monday at 7 o'clock. If you want to join us and we want to see each other's faces, send me your email.
On the 22nd.
On the 22nd.
Wow, I'd be glad to see y'all. Ooh,
send me your email. We're not going to preach to you now. We're not going to preach to you, but you guys are going to have to sing happy birthday to him. And tell him how much you love him. And,
thank you so much.
Yeah. So send us your email, and you can do that by hitting the link of the contact form that I put in the comment section. Not in the comments. I'll just put that.
Yes, you are. Now. Your real self is the Spirit of God.
Put that in there right now. So,
got it? Did you get it right?
I got it wrong. I didn't finish it. Keep talking.
Yeah. Yes, you are the Spirit of God. I used to think that the Holy Ghost and the Spirit of God would separate from me, but then when I found out who I am as essence, the source of even the life of God, I changed that, and I finally saw that the Spirit of God is who I really am in my true identity. And you know what's so weird about this thing? When you find this out, you'll understand why you are eternal and can never die. A spirit cannot die. It can only change its shape or form. It's like energy, but it can never die. It can never be completely wiped out.
That's right.
That's you.
Right. So I would love to see you guys, because some of us 7 p.m. Linda, not 7 a.m. sweetheart. We're not gonna be up that early on Monday morning.
What you got?
7 a.m. 7 p.m. Thank you for saying that, because somebody else might think it's a.m. too, bun. So thank you, Linda.
I don't know what
it's 7 p.m. 7 p.m. We will our time, of course, and that's Eastern.
And I'm gonna sing happy birthday to y'all.
No, you're gonna sing happy birthday to you and tell you how much they love you. So that'll be great. Happy birthday. Yes,
you.
yes, yes. So we will see you again.
Yes.
Pastor Norman and I will be back on Thursday at
Thursday
12:30.
12:30.
You usually come in on us with that.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
then we'll be back on Sunday at 10.
Oliver J, thank you for coming to Earth and let me meet you and the other people at this moment in time.
Baby girl was so glad to see Oliver yesterday. She jumped sky high over all of our furniture.
She jumped over a big old
She
stool.
grabbed her toy like, oh man, he's here to play. Because the last time he was here, he ran in the yard with her and chased her and with her toy, and she didn't forget that. She was so excited to see Oliver.
Okay.
All right, you guys. We'll see you again on Thursday and then on Sunday at 10.
Okay.
Love you.
Thank you. See you later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
I'm going to play our little thing here so they can see it.